Good evening or afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a quick one. I've been pretty busy. We got some good stuff coming up for the culture, and I don't want to fall behind. I want to make this is going to be quick because there's still some stuff that I got to do later on. So I know I haven't been making lives that much, and I don't want our momentum to slow down because we really been educating. We really been doing good for the people, doing good for the community. We really have been. So I want to thank you all for that. Number one, first and foremost. Number two, I don't want the momentum on the For the Culture channel to slow down. I don't want the momentum on TikTok to slow down because I think that we're really benefiting a lot of people. I think that what we're doing is a real uh sorry, I had text. Real good job. I think what we're doing is a real good job. It's really decent. Okay. Um, so that's what it is. So I want to have this real quick. There is some things I got to do later on, but the reason I want to have this live is because I wonder if you can share. Hold on, let me say share to. Oh, I can add to my story. Okay, cool. Okay. The reason I want to have this live is because last time we did a live speaking on the Drewski whiteface. And people were saying that that's the equivalent to blackface. And we were pretty much establishing the fact that there is no equivalent. There is no whiteface equivalent to blackface. It's just none. And people came up and they were asking, like, well, or not asking, saying, well, isn't it racist on both sides? And isn't it racist? Black people can be racist too. Black people can be racist, you know? So that leads me to, like, you know what? I think this is probably going to be a good idea to have a little live right now to discuss this because can't be sure that we're going to be able to have the time to have this at another time, and I don't want to fall behind. It was on my mind too much. It was on my mind too much for me to pass this up. So I want to ask this question. Respect to everybody in here. If you guys can do me a solid and tap the screen. I want to ask this question. Do you all believe black people can be racist? Okay. Just wanna ask this question. All right. And you can come up. Feel free to agree or disagree as long as you're civil with it, as long as you respect the room and the decorum of the room, the speakers, whether you agree or disagree with them. All right. Let me give you my stance. Before people come up, y'all are gifting heavy. Thank you guys so much. Before people come up, let me give you well, it's not a stance, it's really the reality. Let me give you it. Okay. No. Answer is no. Like people cannot. A lot of people don't understand what racism is. Okay. Racism is a system. ISM means system. It means system of power, system of hierarchy, system of order. Okay. Just like classism. Classism is a system of power and a hierarchy based off of class. Sexism is a system or a hierarchy of power based off of sex. You know, ageism is a system of power or a hierarchy, preferential treatment, discrimination, things like that, based off of age. All of these isms are all systems. Okay. Now, in this country, you know, there's only one group of people that have operated and operate the system of racism. All right. And this is the YT society. YT society operates and controls at the top of the hierarchy the system of racism. Okay. What people have tried to do is people have tried to redefine what racism is into individual interactions with each other or an individual having disdain for each other. And they omit systemic issues that go into racism. Otherwise, it would be bigotry. Now, if you say that anybody or somebody can be a bigot by the definition, yes, anybody can be a bigot to another group of people. Okay. Anybody can be a bigot to another group of people. Can anybody exercise the power of racism? Because racism can be exercised based off of the societal construct of the racial hierarchy. Do you understand? So with that being said, a black person does not have the societal power to denigrate or harm white people without backlash. I'm not talking about a black person can't do a crime against another group of people. No, I'm not saying that. People can commit crimes. People can be vulgar. People can be rude and belligerent to anybody. But as far as being racism, black people do not have systemic power and privilege that they can use and weaponize against white society. I will give you an example. Do you guys remember? I think this was in 2020, that white woman who was walking in Central Park with her dog, the Central Park Karen. And the black man said, "Hey, you're going to have your dog on a leash." And she was like, "No, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me." He wasn't doing anything, wasn't being rude, saying, "Hey, these are the rules. Put your dog on a leash." And then she went off, "Oh, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to call the cops." And the way she called the cops, she tried to weaponize the fact that she was a white woman. You know, she made sure that it was abundantly clear that it was a black man who was attacking her, even though he wasn't attacking her. So with her weaponizing, and you see this happen a lot with Karens, this is a perfect example. With them weaponizing the police, okay, with them doing that, that is them working with the system. The police are a part of the system, okay? And you know that your whiteness, you are close, you have a privilege in the system over a black person, which is why you see them threaten to call the police, because they know the police will not be fair. Okay. They know the police will side with them 9 times out of 10, which is why that's a threat that they can pull out like a weapon. "Oh, I'm going to call the police on you," because they understand that the system supports them and coddles them and protects them. Let's get some of the callers up here. All right. We're waiting on the mod to call in, but come in. But unfortunately, she's doing something at the moment. Going to be real brief, going to be real quick. Okay, not going to be here too long because there's some things I got to do later on. As you're coming in, just state your ethnicity real quick. Just do that so we can understand, have full context. I just accepted it. I don't know what happened. What's going on? Okay. Well, okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Sometimes things happen for a reason. Everything happens for a reason, right? So this is racism, okay? So black people do not have systemic power to do that. Black people cannot go and commit crimes and then be coddled in the media. I will give you another example. About a month ago, maybe it was about a month ago, there was a mob of Russians who attacked a group of black people. They started the fight, okay? Yes, they can. Next question. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, you can come up and we can have a civil dialogue, you know? But you disagreeing in the chat room just illustrates my point that it's true, okay? It further verifies and solidifies my point. That is true. What I'm saying is true. And if you don't agree, you can come up and you can feel free to correct it. Now, the group of Russians, back to what I was saying, physically attacked this group of black people. They attacked them physically. They attacked their property. They damaged their property. And the group of black people handled the situation the way they saw fit. Okay, they defended themselves. And you saw in the video, it was clear who instigated the fight. It was clear who started the situation, who escalated the situation. But the result is the only people who got arrested were the black people. And we've seen situations where black people will get arrested for defending themselves. We've seen situations where black people, even though it's clear, it's obvious, it's not up for interpretation. We've seen videos of the black people being accosted, black people being harassed, black people being threatened and even assaulted. And then when black people defend themselves, then the black person gets arrested. Okay? Because the law of self-defense is very wishy-washy. Okay, so when a white person does the same thing, you can see that. Let me see. I don't know if I should, maybe I should change it. I don't know if, oh, cool. Y'all hitting that like button. Yeah, let me see if I don't know if the title, I might have to change that. Black people can be bigoted but not racist. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Yes, they can be. Yes, they can be. We have a request coming up. Let's see. What's on your mind?
Yeah, yeah, I got a lot to say, bro.
What's on your mind, brother?
Yeah, I was gonna say black people can't be racist, but they just ignorant. Nigga just ignoring the shit, just the way how niggas grew, It's like they don't know what to say at a certain time. They feel like what they say is what's right, you know.
So,
Yeah.
I don't think I heard you said black people
I'm
can.
saying, yeah, just niggas, period, bro. It's like they shit they say they feel like it's the right thing to say, like, and then they look around like, damn, what the fuck I just said? That everybody just looking like. Let's say you at a funeral, somebody gonna be there saying some dumb shit, but they gonna think it's
Okay,
funny.
well, just because it's on TikTok, the language, let's
Yeah.
keep the language.
What you mean
Okay.
the language?
Like curse words and stuff, because
Yeah,
TikTok.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I don't know if you get it though. It just like people just they feel like everything is funny, everything is a joke.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay. Can I ask you a question, a couple questions, right?
Right.
Where's your family lineage from? Is it from chattel slavery of America? Are
No,
you?
no, no, no. I'm from Africa, bro. I'm from Guinea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
don't got nothing against. Like, I feel like I ain't gonna lie. Like, when it comes to black, you're not even from Africa, bro. Y'all was already here. Like, cause black, when you look around the world, bro, black is everywhere, bro. We
Okay.
was like the first person on this earth. It just these people they evolved from some shit, and then our woman and nigga just start breeding with these motherfuckers, and just start coming out of nowhere, Cause it's like we can never come together and shit. That's what it
Okay.
is.
Now let me ask you a
Yeah.
question, and I want to get to some of the other speakers real quick. To be fair, this is a
No, you
respectful
good.
dialogue.
No, you
Can you
good.
give me an example? Because you're saying black people they'll say something ignorant. Yeah,
Yeah.
saying things ignorant and being racist. I don't know if that's the same
Like
thing. So can you give me an
let's
example?
say let's say right like me, bro. I went to school with a bunch of blacks. Like when you black, it's like they feel like they can talk to you how white people treat them. They start like treating like they say if you look different and shit, they feel like, oh, you're not like one of them. Like so they try act they do the same thing what white did to them, like start saying a lot of crazy shit to you. But they don't look at it like that though. They just probably think it's a joke.
I mean, okay, well that's true. But let me ask you this question then:
Right.
where is the line between I'm making a joke and we're at school and we just kind of clowning on each other, we making jokes and
No,
we
you see,
still,
they don't
and
get like
where's
they
that and
don't
then
get
racism? Well, like where's the line
that's the
between making
stuff
a joke
like
and
the
then being
stuff
racist?
they be saying, bro. It's like the stuff they say. It's like the same thing other people said to them. So they try to take that out on somebody else. Shit. Even if you a black American, right, and you in the same room full of not like other black, if you don't look like everybody else, they gonna grind you the fuck up, bro. Like, listen, I be around these niggas, bro. I know how
Okay,
it is. It's
okay,
just everybody. They just and then they don't think that other person felt that. Like they don't think like it's hurting that person like in the inside. So everybody just thinking it's a joke. And they don't look they don't look at it as racism, but the other person is though. Like the person everybody grounding this shit.
okay. All right. Well, that's your stance on it. That's your opinion on it. I want to get to some of the other speakers. Like I'm saying, this is just I'm giving you my thing. This is gonna be a part two. There is gonna be a part two to this, but I really want to get
Hey,
the
hold
general
on. Hey
consensus of
bro,
this.
can you let this guy in here too? He said, well, I'm trying to sound like yo. I wanna see. See this what I be talking about.
Now
Like
hold
stuff
on,
like
hold
that.
on, hold on. If he requests to speak, I'll let him up. If he
Yeah,
requests to
please
speak.
let him cause I
Oh, here
don't
we
like when
go. Oh, we
niggas
got a
just
good one
sit in
now.
the comment
Oh,
not
brother,
saying.
hold on, hold on. Okay. Armand BX is in the room. BX, you got my message, huh? That's good. Okay. So we just kind of started. We just started letting certain people up.
Okay.
But I want to get to some of the other speakers. So if you can just real quick, like set the decorum of the room, and then we'll get to uh, Fatu. I think is pronounced.
And what I'm gonna
Okay,
let
can
y'all
you mute
speak
up at
first.
the bottom?
Yeah, everybody got to mute. It's gonna be a good
Thank
conversation.
you. Um, thank you. So
Hey, you
when
got
you
to you got to mute because we can hear we can
And
hear it.
bro, when you look at racism, bro, blacks can never really be racist because they don't have no system where everybody have like you can control people and shit.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
what. Okay,
the only
because it
thing,
seemed
the only
okay.
racism they got is just talking points, bro.
Okay, well, okay, okay. It seems like that was a little bit different from what you were saying originally. So that's what you're saying now, right?
No, I'm saying I had to look back, like, cause I'm saying like I don't know, like, just like if you really look into it, like they
Okay.
can't just like, I
Okay.
don't know if you get it, bro.
Okay. No, no, no. I get it. That's what I was saying. I understand it. BX, if you could set the decorum, and then we're gonna really, really get stuff started, because she sets the kind of decorum of how the room operates, and then we get stuff flowing from there.
No, you good.
Hi, Afro.
How you doing?
Um, I'm okay. I was bored. I was like, "Where is Afro?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" And he hasn't, you haven't posted or anything. But okay, I get it.
You did you get my message?
Um,
I
yeah,
texted you the voice
that
message.
we'll have a quick live tonight, and then maybe another day we'll have a more full live.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let me just tell everybody when you are allowed to come on the panel, immediately go on mute until directed to speak. When directed to speak, please leave with your race and ethnic group, right? Not your race, your ethnic group. And if you are over 18, you don't have to use your pronouns if you don't want to, but it's not required here. Also, TikTok friendly language only. So you got to code your words like schmurder, unalive, strange fruit, grape, hard candy, Mary Jane, so on and so forth. Which you're not sure of how to say, spell it out and we'll get it. Also, see the heart up by Afro Elite's name. Please click that.
That's a
Complete the daily mission and help keep him in the algorithm and the rankings, right? Also, make sure that you after you complete the mission, please click your claim button because it'll help you in your journey. So I want to touch on ethnic group. Your ethnic group, right? So if I identify as an African American slash Black American, but I culturally identify as a foundational Black American. What that means is that my ancestors can be found on the United States of America Census of 1870 because they were here in the United States of America between our which
Come
one
on,
was it?
man.
The emancipation period of 1863 through 1865. If your ancestors does not fit that criteria, then you are not a African American or a Black American, nor should you culturally identify as a foundational Black American. You are your parents' country of origin. So if you have two parents that come from the island of Jamaica, then you are a Jamaican American, Haitian American, Nigerian American, so on and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. If you have one parent who is foundational and your other parent may come from anywhere throughout the diaspora, then you are
Hey,
bi ethnic, and it is okay to tell us that you are have both ancestries, and then we'll just ask you the parent's country of origin, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Also, Afro Latina or Latino. We understand you may have African descent, but that is not Black or a Black American as it pertains in the United States of America. I don't feel like arguing over this today.
Yep. Yep. I think that's
Yeah,
it.
hey,
I
y'all
think that's
gotta
yeah,
it.
that's it.
understand, black.
Hold on.
We
Let's get to some of the other speakers because we want, to be fair to everybody's time. It's a weekend. It's nice outside, so we want to be fair to everybody's time. Plus, we're not going to be on too long. Um, but so I want to get to Empress Air.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am over the age of 18 and I am black in America. I'm a black American. My parents are full black American indigenous. Okay.
get my
I
charger.
stepped up because I wanted to, I wasn't quite sure what the first gentleman was talking about, but the question is, can black people be racist? No, we cannot be racist, but we definitely can be prejudiced, meaning we can choose to do something or support somebody, but to be racist, our words when it comes to trying to cause issues for other people are not going to really be taken. It's only going to be taken lightly with a grain of salt, should I say. Not to say that something won't happen if a whole bunch of people go and report the same thing, but just me going to somebody saying this person did something, they're going to kind of like, it'll fall on deaf ear. But we are definitely prejudiced. We could choose to support, choose to deal with. That's our choice. So that's the difference that I see.
Okay. All right. Having an open conversation. Yeah, I mean, we got to be clear about what racism actually means. You know what I'm saying? We report hate crimes all the time, and they get ignored. And we are the number one people who face hate crimes in this country, and that gets downplayed and ignored all the time. Let's get to Mr. Williams the third. Mr. Williams the third.
Hey, how y'all doing? Can I be heard?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm walking through the store, so I might have a little bit of background. But I am Junius Carey Williams III. My lineage, my name itself actually goes back in this country over about 150 and 200 years. So I am FBA. We are from Goochland, Virginia on my mother's side and Hanover County, Virginia on my dad's side. And I just kind of wanted to address the whole black being racist thing. I was kind of going to say the same thing as the last caller with the prejudice, because we are more prejudiced than racist. Racism is a system. It is set up to, like, a white woman can say, "Oh my God, I don't like this," and call the police, and they will come do something. And just like was said a second ago, we report hate crimes and things that are of the nature of getting stuff a lot, and nobody comes to help. Oh, black person down bad, we are going in the history of this country that has never happened, right? So when he says, and I ain't trying to beat up on my brother, but when he says, "I've been around you niggas and y'all be joking, and when y'all say that stuff, y'all don't see it as racism, but somebody else might feel that," you got to kind of buck up and get your feelings a little bit tighter, because racism, if that was the case, we would be calling the police and say, "That booty scratcher did such and such when we was in high school," and they would come and lock you up, scrutinize you up. Maybe you have your papers, maybe you don't like that. So I just want to kind of put that point out there, that we don't necessarily have a system that backs us in our prejudice. Yes, we judge you ahead of time. Yes, we're gonna make fun of your hairline. Yes, if you come into school with your shoes raggedy, it's over with for you, my boy. Like, that's just what it is in our community. But racism is something different that I think a lot of people need to understand when they're using that word so freely. But thank y'all, man. I appreciate your time, my brother.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. That's why I asked, and he had to kind of clarify what he meant, because he was all like, "Yeah." At first, he said, "Yes, black people can be racist," and then I'm all like, "Give me an example, give me an example," and then next thing you know, he kind of flipped it and said, "No, there's no system." And then he was saying we tell jokes the same way YT people tell jokes. Not really, to be honest with you. And our jokes don't have the effect that their jokes have, because their jokes denigrate a group of people, and through that denigration of a group of people and enabling a system, which is their quote unquote jokes, it leads to actual harm of another group of people. When we make jokes, there's no malice or there's no harmful repercussion to our joke, you know. So it's a very different thing. So yes, it's very true. Let's get to FBA Sweet Wolf, Sweet Wolfie.
Hey,
How
the
you
sweet
doing?
wolf. Um, I'm foundational Black American, and the reason I joined is, can Black people be racist? No, Black people cannot be racist. And when we're saying Black, we're talking about the identity in the United States of America, right? No, we have never organized or done anything to discriminate against anyone in this land. We have never put up signs or stopped anyone from growing. Actually, all races have came to this land and benefit for of our civil rights, and actually sued by Title VII. You can see Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and other races. But can we be a xenophobic and prejudiced? Yes. Just like that man up above you, he said the N word, right? and he called us black. But it would be a xenophobic for me to say that is a Puerto Rican. 97% is white and poor. They are some of the whitest, poorest people in the United States, and some of the weakest men because they surrendered, didn't even put up the fight to be a territory of the United States. And these men are still not fighting to be a country. They are the weakest, and yet majority of them are on welfare. That is a xenophobic. That's not racist.
Mm.
It's a difference. And I hope he heard me.
I don't know if he in the wrong, but yeah, he gonna have to listen to the playback. Cause yeah, let's be honest,
Oh,
we
and another
you got to be
thing.
careful with
When
that.
you say the word racist and you bring up something that happened to you in elementary, we can all tell that you haven't had a successful life or lived beyond elementary. We as grown people don't give a damn if you was picked on in elementary. You by now use your employment assistance program, your Medicaid because you're Puerto Rican, and go use your children's Medicaid and go see a therapist. The options is out there for you. But to try to tell us that you couldn't handle yourself in elementary when it's counselors and teachers and principals there you can go tell to, I really don't care, grow up.
Hmm. Let's everybody tap the screen. I want as many people in here as possible. Everybody, let's tap the screen. Thank you, thank you. Now let's get to I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. How do you pronounce it?
Illuminati 15.
Illuminati 15. Okay.
Um, I actually want to rebuttal to the FBA Suites lady because I'm Puerto Rican and I took a little offense to what she just said.
Okay.
Just for the simple fact that I've been through some hard times myself growing up in the Bronx. I've been jumped by black individuals, been just literally targeted by black individuals living in the projects. And I've never once had the nerve to come up here or even express a sense of hate towards the black community because of what minors or a very select few would decide at the time was entertainment for them or just sort out ignorance. You know what I'm saying? So kind of trying to boil all Puerto Rican people into a ball like that, trying to make it seem like we ain't proud or that we the poorest of whites. That's OD. But
Okay. I got a couple questions because then I want you to give a stance on on the topic on the prompt. But you're saying that there was black people. Now we're not sure if they were black Americans. Let's be honest. We're not 100% sure. But for the sake of the argument, because I guess we don't know and can't verify. Let's say that they were. Were they picking on you just out of being Puerto Rican, or did they have beef with you? Were they picking on everybody,
to
or
be
something
honest,
like
bro,
that?
when I was growing up and I was in middle school or high school, for some reason, blacks and Hispanics were always at it. I don't know what it was. It was and before the 2010s. It was just how it was in school. If you was black, you hung out with your black friends. If you were Spanish or Puerto Rican, you hung out with the Dominicans or the Spanish cats. It was always like that, and I kind of seen the shift happen, like in the second year of high school, where it became more unified, and it was just more like, all right, well, you can hang out with whoever you want. But like in middle school, elementary school, it kind of felt segregated, where it was like black kids hung out with black kids, and the Spanish kids stood to themselves. But to get back to your prompt, I actually wanted to bring an experience that I had last year before the Trump election. I was in my local pizzeria, and I don't know, because from what I'm hearing from your panel, it sounds more like you guys are saying that black people can't be racist, and it's more of like possible ignorance or just trying to judge people or frip. So let me give y'all the experience that I had to deal with last year. I walk into my local pizzeria. The dude behind the counter is a Mexican dude and an Indian cat. It's hella hectic. We got high school kids just running rampant, taking orders, and for some reason, the the African American dude that walks in with his pregnant girlfriend catches a fit because they decide to serve the kids first to get them out of the pizzeria, so they could kind of like downgrade the traffic and the chaos that's being brought in by these kids. Everything's cool. Dude snaps and automatically he goes to you. He said something in the caliber of like, I don't want to say it to get flagged, but he
Yeah,
came at him with like
please don't say anything.
he came at him with
Can I
like
respond after he finished with his
Hold on, I'm
story?
gonna let you respond because he said something about what you said, so I'm gonna let you respond. But I want him to finish his story.
so he kind of went to like the straight situation of like making fun of dude being Mexican, and I was like, I turned around with like this shocked expression because I was like, bro, why would you even take it there? He's just trying to like do his job, and once he see my reaction, he was like, you gonna give him your papers, huh? You gonna defend him? I'm like, bro, I'm just in shock because I've never experienced this like firsthand, like somebody just blurring something out like that in front of me. And I was like, bro, it's not that serious. Like, homie lost track of his orders. He's trying to get to you and he's talking to you with the utmost respect. And he just starts coming at him for being Mexican. And he got at the Indian dude. And when it escalated so much that I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna remove myself from the situation. This individual pulled out a box cutter on me. So at that point, it's like it just
So you
crossed
tried to
over.
leave. You tried to leave the
Yes, I
building.
try to leave the situation because I didn't even confront him. I was so shocked because I've never experienced, like you said, I can tell a joke from a joke. I grew up in an era where we had people like Carlos Mencia, Dave Chappelle, people that automatically pushed the barrier when it came down to making fun of other races, but just through stereotypes. And I never experienced something like that just so blatantly in front of me and so disrespectful. So when I gave the reaction, he was like, what you gonna do? You gonna give him your paperwork? You gonna give him your papers? You gonna give him your citizenship? And I was like, my brother, why you had to take it there?
Okay. Oh,
And
wow.
it just
What section of the Bronx?
it was on Southern Boulevard, right here by Hunts Point.
Hunts Point. And so, are
So
you sure they were Black American?
yes, ma'am,
How
a
do you
hundred
know?
percent.
How do you know?
He he damn sure
Because
was
only
You
no
gotta
black
no
mute
people
yourself.
African.
Come on. You'll get a chance to speak.
nigga things. That's the only thing you guys know what to do. Besides doing crack, cocaine, weed, fentanyl.
Right. So here's the issue, right? Are you into battle rap at all?
I dib and dab in the music scene over here in New York.
Okay, cool. So, Fat Joe and Matt Hoffa was on a podcast where Fat Joe was basically verbally attacking FBA, saying that we were crazy, and blah blah blah. Right now, the man sitting, doing the interview, whose podcast it is, looks like a Black American, almost sounds like a Black American, was mistaken for a Black American, but he was not Black American. He's Bayesian. You get it? So that's why when y'all say, and I'm born and raised in the Bronx, lived in 4 of the 5 boroughs. Remember a time when there was a lot of tension, and the same way you say you got it as good from the Black Americans, so did members, of the Black race. There was a time when Black and Puerto Ricans did not get along. We were called jungle bunnies, jungle music. We were not allowed in Latino homes. Um, and so when I first started coming on this app, your story may be just a little bit different than the rest of the Puerto Ricans who swear we were so unified and they created hip hop. My thing is this. All the
I
Latinos
don't
that say
stand for that.
they Black friends gave them the pass to say the N word were more than likely Caribbean cosplayers. Math Hoffa would be one example. You didn't know that he had Caribbean heritage until he got around another Caribbean who was openly Caribbean, and then he said, "Oh yeah, I'm Bayesian too." What? Meanwhile, we thought you were Black American. That's why I'm saying, how could you be sure if it was a Black American?
Well, I see your point, and I've worked
Thank
with
you.
Hoffa before. I did not. I honestly believe that Hoffa was black, the way he presents himself in the media. And I see your point of view. I see your point
Thank
of
you.
view, but for me, it to me it wasn't even just the skin color or whether he was Black American. I was just so shocked because I see stories and I hear about it, but I've never experienced it on that level, like personally in person. And then from there, from for it to escalate, where I felt like my life was being threatened just because somebody didn't have the patience to wait for some food, and they just felt like ignorance was the way. and being disrespectful was the way, I was just like, nah, bro, this is not it. Because I grew up in a crazy era. Like you will snap on your friends. You know what I'm saying? Some might call me an immigrant. You might snap back and probably make fun of how dark somebody mama was, but to that level, and it's like it was so hateful in the way he looked at me. It was like, you gonna give him your papers, you gonna give him your citizenship. I was like, my brother, it's not that serious. Like, why are you taking it to that degree? And then on top of that, to just go off overboard and pull out a box cutter over a pie of pizza.
But look where you was. You was
Let
in
me.
you was in by Hunts
Southern
Point, the
Boulevard.
whole area. The last time I've been to Hunts Point was a couple of months ago, right, for a doctor's appointment. The area has deteriorated, but I want you to learn different words, right? So racism, and according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, it requires an element of power that Black Americans do not have, right? So Black Americans can be prejudiced, Black Americans can be bigoted, but what they cannot be is racism, because we cannot deny you housing, education. We do not discriminate in the banking institutions, so on and so forth, and we don't come together in mobs and strange fruit juice, rope around the neck on the tree. And I'm gonna land because I know you had addressed Sweet Wolfie. I just wanted to put that out there to you because I am Black American and I do understand the dynamics of the Bronx. You see the
Yeah.
BX in my name,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go on mute.
Okay.
I don't want to
I'm gonna
cut you.
just
I
I'm gonna
just
just
want to
say
address somebody in the
as far
chat.
as one thing before we move on to, because we got some more people coming out.
He
So
was
I want to address a
disrespect.
couple of
I
things.
don't know
He
how.
have an echo.
Yeah, you do have echo. Let me mute you for a second while I say this. We acknowledge the fact that we have bad characters in the community. We acknowledge that. I mean, every single community is going to have some people who act up. I mean, especially in America, you got like a mental health crisis in a lot of these major cities. You got people who are strung out on a lot of these major cities, bam. And I'm not saying that whether that person was a Black American or not a Black American, I'm not saying that we don't know that to be true. But the thing is that if you was to call the police on him, he would get arrested, and they would throw the book at him. Okay, that's the thing. He doesn't have a power where he can go around and do that and then get a slap on the wrist, and then he does it and doesn't and doesn't and doesn't, and he gets a slap on the wrist. Nobody turns a blind eye. He left. Okay, he left. Nobody turns a blind eye when Black people do crime. You can't say, well, a Black person doing a crime or threatening somebody means that Black people can be racist. And I'm not saying that we don't have bad actors. I'm not saying he didn't have a meltdown or whatever the case is. But does that fit the definition? Because racism has to be a community-based thing, because that's where the power comes from. The power comes from the general society. All right. So his story doesn't fit the definition of racism. Okay, somebody in the chat room is also saying that Hispanics can't be racist because Hispanics don't have power. Disagree with that, because Hispanics might not have power. They might not be at the top of the racial hierarchy, but they work alongside in many cases,
Most
and
definitely.
also do benefit in many cases with the racial hierarchy. There was Martinez, some woman named Martinez, something like that, in L.A. I forgot her last name or something. I think Martinez, and she was
Nuri
having private
Martinez.
meetings. You said who, what?
Nuri Martinez. She's
Nori
a
Martinez, yes.
yeah.
Now we gotta acknowledge Hispanic is not a race. So Hispanic can be YT. Let's be honest with that. Let's be clear. A lot of times when they say Hispanic, you know what I'm saying? Y'all want to play it like it's its own race. It's not its own race, okay? There's many different races of Hispanics. Hispanic is not a race. Hispanics fought for Hispanics not to be considered a race, okay? So they can be YT, which is why a lot of them look like Spaniards, white Spaniards. But that's another story. But the thing is that Nori Martinez, she's working alongside the racial power structure to discriminate against Black people. We've seen Hispanics work alongside of the racial hierarchy to discriminate against Black people. We don't see Black people doing that to discriminate against Hispanic people. I can give you examples of Hispanic gangs and YT gangs teaming up in the prisons to go against the black gangs. That happens in LA too, as well as other hate crimes and attacks and things like that as well too. So they can be okay. They don't have the power, but they're like almost like foot soldiers in a way. They can be foot soldiers in that way against the black community. All right. And I just gave you examples. I'm not just saying that. I literally just gave you examples.
Right. So with the area, well, in New York, Latinos have like a high ownership rate of like stores, bodegas, businesses that provide services, stuff like that. So they have an ownership where they can deny us food. What is wrong with you? Where they can do certain things to microaggressions within their, exhibited against our community. A lot of the representatives in New York's government, especially for the Bronx, are Latino. So they have an element of power in the government too. So I don't know. Latino is not a race, or when you mark black, they'll say of Hispanic origin or not of Hispanic origin, because Hispanic origin would be our ethnic group. Get it?
Yeah.
Okay, can I
Yeah.
respond?
I just
Yeah.
want
Go ahead.
to
Go
Because
ahead.
I just want 30 seconds to respond.
Wolfie's gonna go ahead real quick, and then we're gonna get to you. Then we're gonna get to you.
Okay, so after Elite, yes or no, real fast. Have you ever used the N word
Yes.
on this panel? On this panel? Yes?
On this panel, no.
Yes. No. No. Right?
Yeah.
Young man above, while speaking to you and explaining his elementary story, he called us the N word. He didn't say it as a group. He referred to us as the N word. And I'll be honest, I did go to his page and seen that he was Puerto Rican. So that's my first time hearing a Puerto Rican, because I'm down from the South, use the N word and use it lightly. And that was very disrespectful for him to do. And the way that he used it and referred to us as if 95% of Puerto Ricans do not mark white teeth. And it was in 1939 when the elite Mexicans sued the United States in federal court to be white. And later in 1959, they went back and said, yeah, we get discriminated against too. We want to be Hispanic. So, yes, they are still considered white tea to this day on all paperwork. So when he used the N word and he called us black so many times, he was being disrespectful and racist because that was a white man.
All right. Yeah. That's
I wait for
okay.
your introduction.
Hold on. I'm gonna let you go ahead, brother. Right
No, I
after.
say I'm waiting for your introduction. I'm waiting for your.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. You get to go. Yeah, let me see. How do you say your name?
matriarch.
Matriarch. Okay. You got it.
Hi.
How you doing?
Wonderful. Okay, so I just wanted to say really quick, he had dropped down, but I had a question for Luminous. I had a question for him, like, because he kept, like, I would just say, like, victimizing or just playing a victim or whatnot. My question for him was, did he speak Spanish? And how many times have he heard and not acknowledged Hispanics or whoever, people that speak Spanish, sit back and listen to how they speak, even in public settings, about Black people. No one wants to call that out and acknowledge that, or maybe sorry, that's my daughter, guys, or maybe what he has heard, in his own family about us, so it's like, it's so weird how they so quick to be like, oh, point the finger at us, but they were birthed in this entire, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's sickening to me. But that was my question for him. Like, do you speak Spanish? And I know you have heard us being talked about like a dog. But, yeah. So, I just want to say that.
Appreciate that. Now, I want to say something else. When he first came up here, he was talking about, I was jumped by some black American, black American, because there's an echo. There's an echo. I can't mute them. You got to mute your mic. Tamira, you got to mute your mic. Okay. I couldn't mute. I don't know. But when he first came up here, right, he was talking about how he was, I guess, getting jumped and attacked by Black Americans. And he singled out, he made sure it was known it was by Black Americans. And then when I asked him to elaborate on that further, like, were y'all beefing? Were y'all feuding? Because the way he framed it as if this is just some attack on Puerto Ricans. We just looking for Puerto Ricans to victimize, and we're on the prowl looking for Puerto Ricans to attack. That's how he framed it. And then when I asked him to elaborate on that further, I'm like, okay, because you're trying to make it seem like the black community just did that to Puerto Ricans or has something like that against Puerto Ricans. So were they bullies? Did y'all have beef? And then he's all like, oh, well, technically blacks and Puerto Ricans, they were going at it. Okay, well, that clears things up a little bit. And that reframes everything, because the way you framed it, you made it seem like you were just doing whatever, you were just minding your business, and then here comes a group of black people being all like, oh, look, a Puerto Rican, let's get him. No, if Puerto Ricans were attacking black folk and black people was getting at Puerto Ricans and it was a feud going on, don't try to frame it like yo, you just chilling, and then Puerto Ricans or black people just coming in and bouncing on Puerto Ricans and attacking Puerto Ricans. Like, let's not do that. Okay. So by the way you framed it trying to make us the villain, when in all actuality, if that did happen, it's a mutual feud. Okay.
Exactly. And you know something? I'm just gonna make it known today, and a lot would agree with me. Black people, our people, me knowing my people, I'm 34 years old. We are notorious for minding our own damn business. We don't be worried about that. We don't be worried about these people for real. We don't. Unless they come into our bubble or in our space with that bull crap. Then so it was like his story just wasn't really adding up to me. I mean, I'll be honest. Like our grandmothers, yeah, they be nosy as hell. When they get older or whatever, they be all nosy. But we really don't be worried about people for real. We don't. We be in our own world.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Thank you. True blue facts. You got it.
Yeah, I enjoy listening to the youth, man. I appreciate you guys so much, and to see you guys take this direct interest in being able to have these conversations so that we can make a difference in this culture in which we live. But I will add with this. I think the overarching thing that gets lost in this narrative about racism is we're talking about a group of people that characterize genocide as pioneer, that characterize genocide as discovery, that characterize it as patriotism. They went so far as once they did that and got control of this land, they constitutionalized it and created what I call an organizational behavior to ensure that it nefariously, disproportionately harmed people of color. What organization am I speaking of? The judicial, legislative, and executive branches. That's the organizational behavior. And under this organizational behavior, everything nefarious that's ever occurred in this country came through those organizations. That's the strength and power that they've used in the manner as we call having the power of racism, and they've practiced this year after year after year. And every 40 years or so, they say it ain't as bad in the 2000s as it was in the 80s. It ain't as bad in the 80s as it was in the 60s. It's not as bad as the 60s as it was in the 40s. On and on and on to rationalize this idealism just because we have accomplished things in spite of that there's a non-existence of this behavior. We have to be very careful how words are used to characterize behavior. And I land with this. I asked a young man the other day, what's the difference between an archaeologist, a thief, and a discoverer? You see the characterization? But when you call me the thief and call yourself the archaeologist, the characterization softens this idealism that you are not being racist. But when you say and you stigmatize my community, what we call impoverished community that exists all over this country, but the way you characterize places from which I grew up, which basically stigmatize every moving body in that area, you call it a ghetto. You call it the hood. You call it these impoverished things, you describe them that way, but when you call in your neighborhood, you just call it middle America. We have to be very careful because this language And many of us use dictionaries, so we know that the root word can have an adjective, it can have a verb, it can have a noun, and these characterizations matter more so than the idea of someone trying to just go to the root word and say this is what it means. The behavior of racism, we know the root of it was about being discriminatory. There is no group that has created a system that has nefariously favored them and harmed others than what has happened here in America, and then disguise it as I don't see the problem. I've never seen anything like it. It is the biggest Jedi trick I ever seen on this planet. And then accuse you when you speak about it as being reverse.
Yeah.
And it's the most ludicrous thing I ever heard in my life. I did not create a constitution behind fighting back. I did not create an organization, behavior, judicial, legislative, executive branches that you use to today to continue these practices. But I appreciate you young folks staying on these lives, going through this stuff. I don't try to prove points. I try to connect the dots because everything they've done, when you want to know how that ghetto got there, it got through there. It got created through redlining. It got created through what you call eminent domain, segregation. All these different things created that environment, and now we stigmatize you. And I got to add this here, host. I know I've been talking for a minute, but I really need to add this. We always hear about this proclamation. Do you realize the proclamation got amended with the 13th Amendment? They amended the proclamation, which allegedly freed you, with the 13th that says slavery and involuntary servitude is illegal in the continent of this country until you commit a crime. That's the institutionalized organizational behavior that I'm speaking about that still exists to today.
Yeah.
And I land there.
All right. Appreciate that, brother. Right. Real talk. Real talk. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's very true. The way you frame things is very important too. And notice how even the way crime is framed. I think that's one of the things too. Hold on, you got to turn your camera off. It's not even your turn to speak yet. Okay. The way crime is framed, like they'll frame a crime in the black community as black on black crime. And then they'll further go to say that that's some type of reflection of the culture of black people. That's a reflection of black people's culture and black in the family dynamic. Now, a crime that's committed in any other community is never framed that way. It's never framed that way, that this is something indicative to their culture is for sure not framed that way when it happens in a white community. It's for sure never framed as if this is some type of reflection or manifestation of what happens in the culture. It's never framed that way. So framing things is very important. Okay. Let's get to Tamara.
I appreciate that, host, because you
Afro.
holistically talk about us.
Yes.
Pride. And that's the
Yes.
word I wanted to drop, and I'm going to listen to you, Tamara.
Hi, Afro Elite. I follow you all the time. I love your work. But I wanted to address something. I was hearing them talk about how I'm going back to the black community have been against the Latino community, which we can falsely see. I mean, anybody with common sense know that. We have our politicians will actually turn against us for them. Let's just start there. That they fight harder for them than they even do for us. And on top of that, I'm from South Florida. I remember growing up, I'm talking about middle school, so I'm in my 40s. This is years ago, when I used to watch a lot of the Spanish communities would degrade the get-go out of Haitians community. We even seen it with the war against Haitians, against the Dominicans, and all this right here. And we see it hard in South Florida. Like, it's a straight up, and a lot of Haitians wants to, they be like kumbaya with them type thing. And that, but the Spanish community is not with it at all. Also, when I came out of school, I got into the plumbing industry. When they started coming over, I was one of the ones got kicked out and had to find another career. So I have seen them actually come in our spaces and be very disrespectful to us. And the more I had started digging, you can find videos of the I guess it'd be like the Afro Puerto Ricans or whatever, but I don't even had the Puerto Ricans tell us about how they are how the white tea treat us over here. They're treated worse in their country. That's how they come over here with that mindset. So it don't be a lot of like how they be like, oh, the black Americans start with them. That's BS. BS. I have seen us, my people, be more than welcoming to them in our communities. And when they get in there, they trash it. They talk about us. They disrespect us. And if you don't know the language, they will sit there in your face. I have had my kids come home crying, and it wasn't the white tea people, it was them. My son called me not even 5 months ago. He's in construction. One just now getting, I guess he was a Mexican guy, called him the N word on the job site, like right there to his face. They're doing the white man's job for them. So yeah, anybody was like trying to come and say we are and I really hate that because we are the most generous. I don't care where you found a person, but majority of our community is the more respectful, and we have that southern hospitality over in Florida, and they take that for. I mean, they have really, really took that for advantage and used it. So that's BS. Where when they be coming over here like, oh, we starting, no, we be minding our business, like the young lady said. We be minding our business, and we be welcoming, and we be trying to help. And then you get over here, and you are very disrespectful to us. I land my plane.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very true. That's very true. And then notice when they come up, they try to omit what they did. Like they'll come up and they'll be all like, "Man, I was just randomly attacked by some Black Americans," and they don't want to say like, "Oh yeah, we were picking at them, we were picking on them a couple hours ago, and then they circled back on us." But you didn't want to say your part. You don't want to blame yourself. You don't want to take accountability for what you and your community did. You're just trying to make it seem like you were just this victim who was victimized for no other reason than being Puerto Rican. So that's why I had to follow up, and he had to specify. So yeah, and they do start it, and there's a lot of anti-blackness in the Hispanic community, and we all know that. That is not a secret. Let's continue. Let's get to Blazy.
Thank you so much, uh, Afro Elite. This has
Okay.
been a good conversation so far, and I'm happy we're having this kind of conversation
Where you
because
from? I hear
we
your
need
accent.
it
Where you
as
from?
Black people. We really need it. Like Tamara just said, right?
Hold on, real quick, brother. Where you from? I hear your. I can hear your accent. Where you from?
I'm from Africa, East Africa.
East Africa. Okay.
Yeah, South Sudan.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, I just passed by and I saw the conversation, and then I listened, and it touched me because Black community is so important in my heart, right? I was born in Africa, and I grew up in. Part of my life is in the United States, so I understand both parts of the life of the people that lived in Africa and the people that are in the United States. So when these kind of conversations are going on, it feels like I want to say something about it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
what is your opinion on the prompt?
can Black people be racist?
Mhm.
Of course, we are. Everybody is a racist.
Okay. What does racism mean?
Racism mean is discriminating against the other person that is not like you.
Okay.
Okay, it could be let's say we in a party, right? And I don't want to hang out with a Spanish girl, or I don't want to hang out with a white girl. That's racism, right? But it goes all the way to so many things that happens right now. So to get deep, right?
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So we were talking about us being either. Hello? Shit, man. I
yeah,
ain't
yeah.
think.
You're on, but you got to mute. And when it's your turn, you get to speak. Okay, well, it's taking us a little bit of time to get there, so let me fast forward and ask you this: what is the difference between somebody being racist and somebody being prejudiced? Because there is a difference. So I want to know if you know what the difference is.
Prejudice and racist.
Uh huh. Okay, well, let me explain. Let me explain. Somebody being prejudiced, prejudice pretty much means to prejudge somebody, to treat somebody based off of a judgment that you have of whatever type of group that they're in, whatever type of identity that they can claim. So, for instance, I can be prejudiced against somebody overweight, and I can have a prejudiced belief that because you're overweight means you're lazy and uneducated. That's a prejudiced belief. Okay, some people have that. Okay, and that's just an example. Okay, that's just you're judging somebody. Okay, based off of that, right? Now, racism racism is a system that is a system of racial power. You understand? You know, it's a system of racial power. Everybody does not have the ability to practice racism, okay? Because racism needs to be supported with a system. And the only group of people that have a system that supports their prejudice and discrimination and bigotry are YT people. You understand, right?
Okay, how did they come to have that power?
They've
Who gave
developed
them the
that
power
power
to?
over they've developed that power over hundreds and hundreds of years, over centuries.
The
And
Constitution hosts.
what's stopping us from having that same power too?
The
Well, first
Constitution.
off, no,
They've
no, no.
already
Here's the thing.
constitutionalized it.
What's stopping us is that we're still in the system. There's only one supremacy that can exist in a system. You can't have two supremes. So until we and not that I even want to have supremacy, but until we dismantle that, they will have it. We have to dismantle that and then replace that with a system of justice and fairness and righteousness. That's what we have to do.
Okay,
Right.
so do we feel like we're locked up right now? Like, can we step out and just be a community, be like an independent body that want to do something that is just their own? You know,
I mean, yeah, we've
at some
done
point
that. Here's the
we
thing.
think
Not
we
Hold on.
we
outside
have to
hosts.
depend on
Here's the
we
brother.
have to
Here's the
depend on
thing.
a government to do something,
No,
right?
no, 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 no. Here's the
Not
thing, and I'm
outside the
going to,
judicial,
brother.
legislative, and
Hold
executive
on, brother.
branch.
Hold on, brother. I'm going to be frank, and this is the issue that we're having with people who are outside of the lineage. I can't help but call out the fact that everybody who's outside of the lineage, they've agreed that black people can be racist. All right, and they're using ahistorical or false information, misleading information about it. They're trying to define it as an individualistic situation or an event. For instance, okay, when we have done things, we've had multiple Black Wall Streets in this country, all right? And they came and destroyed them all. They came and ruined them all. We still have black businesses that are being consistently harassed and sabotaged, okay? Where there's false calls of noise ordinances and stuff like that, black people being flagged and discriminated when it comes to business loans, housing loans, appraisal rates, all of this stuff happens today. So it's not as if there's not an ongoing fight to get rid of that stuff. But yes, these things happen today because they want to keep the status quo the same. Hold on, you got to mute your mic because there's a little noise. They want to keep the status quo the same. You understand? So, in order to do that, you have to make sure that the people at the bottom of the hierarchy stays at the bottom of the hierarchy, right? So, with that, you have to consistently do things to make sure that the community in as a collective doesn't elevate. You will have a couple of people who make it out the hood, and that's good. You'll have a couple of people who do really well, that's good. But as far as the community itself, they put a ceiling on that. They do their best to put obstacles in the way. Okay.
Host, I would add this that I think a lot of times get missed. When you talk about nefarious behavior, they constitutionalize that nefarious behavior and they put an organizational behavior to be able to control it, such as judicial, legislative, executive branch. That's the system. Everything nefarious, everything that's given a disproportional, if you will, unfairness to people of color has come through that system. That's the system we've always had to fight against. That's the system we live with under now. And it has always disproportionately been unjust to us. And it's not created the fairness. And anytime we did things as the host just described, in spite of, that system is what was used, the judicial, legislative, executive branches, to destroy communities, destroy lives, to destroy people. And that's the level of racism that we just cannot construct because the system exists. And that's the system we fight against to the day. Yes, we get things done in spite of. Yes, we'll be able to stick our head up. But each and every time we did, that's the system that was used to destroy any type of progress that was ever made.
Yes. And when we speak, we're speaking on the collective of the community. They, of course, and some people are in the chat room talking about Oprah. And I know every time we talk about the fact that they sabotage the black community, some people bring up, well, what about Oprah? What about LeBron? What about, and then they bring up some celebrity. What about Jay-Z and Beyonce? They bring up celebrities as a way to refute the fact that there is any sabotaging going on. Yes, you will have some people who will be able to break through, okay, but that does not dismiss the reality that there is sabotaging to the community as a collective. All right.
Okay, I have a question for you, brother.
Yeah, real quick, and then we got to move on to the
It's a
next.
quick question. Okay, if you had the power to free all the black community right now, the
Mhm.
black community around the world, not just in America, in Africa, in Europe, and wherever the hell African community, the black community is, what is that one thing you would do that would free and make black people feel like they live in a free world?
If I could free them, and I could,
Yes.
what would I do to make them feel
What is
free?
that thing? Yes, like what thing would you cut off from the government in the United States, in America, in France, whatever it is, the government that is treating our black people
Well,
crazy.
okay, to answer that would be a little long, but I would start off by reparations. First step, reparations. I would start off by reparations. In America. Now, if I was running CARICOM, I hope CARICOM gets their reparations. I hope South Africa and all that stuff, I hope they get their reparations. I'm not that. I'm a black American. But if I could snap my fingers and allow them to get it, they would get it. I would give them reparations. I would take off certain restrictions and barriers and obstacles they have as far as discrimination, as far as the capital, loans, things like that. I would make sure that there's a reparative program to put them in the position where they should have been. Okay. And then black people will figure it
How
out
does
from there.
that make a
But
black
that's
man
a pretty
powerful
long
right now?
answer, and I
How
want to
does a reparation make a black man powerful? Like,
how would reparations make the black man powerful?
yeah.
I mean, look at how powerful we are without reparations. I mean, you can use your imagination with that. We're powerful without reparations. Just imagine us with some reparations. It's over with. It's
And I
over.
would define reparation with capital ownership and capital control. If I'm able to control my resources, I'm able to control and not be regulated by the idea that you can hold me down. Like even in foreign countries, they control trade, so they can control resources, they can control prices. If you want to give me reparation, lift that ban. Allow me the freedom to move in true capitalism without this always coming in. And every time we pop up and create a Wall Street, every time we pop up and create robust communities, you don't regulate it by coming taking my schools. You don't regulate it by coming in and infiltrating my communities with these substances and then penalize the people after you do it. That's the type of reparations I would be looking for, because that's what we did back in the day to keep that from having to be an obstacle that we had to go through. But the system was designed to make sure that it nefariously harmed and hurt. So if you want to give me some reparations, that would be the first start if you was asking me.
Yeah, that's exactly true. The reason why is because there are people who make decisions. The decision makers deliberately put obstacles in the glass ceiling of the black community's success. So give us the tools so they don't have a monopoly on the law, the legislation, the resources, the capital. Once they lose the monopoly on that and control who gets in and who gets out the room, that's going to be the beginning. It's a long answer, but that's going to be the beginning of that. But let's get to some of the other speakers real fast. Let's get you Tango. Tango, you got it.
Yeah, hey, shout out to you, Afro. Hey, so let's check it out, man. I'm gonna go ahead and speak on the prompt real quick. This thing about black people can be racist. Look, I always tell people this. Black people always kind of level set the conversations from the rip. I always go, look, black people in the United States of America are the number one victims of hate crimes. All right, bottom line, point blank, period. So if black people could actually be racist and they had the power to do that, wouldn't they use that power to eradicate those hate crimes against them? Wouldn't they use that power and that racism to stop those hate crimes? Like, it doesn't even make sense. There's black people have no institutions, they don't control the laws as a collective. Yeah, there's some black people in Congress, but those black people are not making laws to actually harm anybody. They're not targeting any specific groups. They're not keeping any economic opportunities or educational or political representation from anybody. They're not doing anything to actually, when some other group gets harmed, saying, hey, you know what, we're not going to do anything to protect these other groups. Like, if you look across the board, there are essentially hate crime laws against all these other groups. Well, maybe, you can probably not maybe say Hispanics not so much, but definitely there are no hate crime laws in place or hate crime protection laws in place for black people. Nothing. All right. People will argue, oh, well, there are laws. There's, the Civil Rights Act, there's Housing Act and all. Look, none of that matters if you don't enforce it, which is why when a lot of this legislation is written, it's purposely written so that way it doesn't specifically and intentionally include the black race. They try to make it very general and specific, or I'm not specific, but very generic, and try to say, well, this is helping everybody, while actually not really enforcing it for black people and black people only. So when you ask that question, can black people be racist? Then if that's the case, then black people will actually use that power to stop other people from harming them. That's really the way to look at it. And I'm saying all this because there are people, they think they're having a serious conversation. Like, you're asking a legitimate question. When you ask a question, I trust you to know what it is you're talking about, and you're actually genuine about it. But there are people who are non-black literally asking this question, and they're making these statements, and they truly believe that black people are racist towards them. And they'll use dumb, and when you ask them for examples, they'll say, well, somebody called me a colonizer. Or somebody, called them a name. Or they'll give an example. Well, I was walking through a black neighborhood and I got attacked because I was white. No, you were walking through a neighborhood in an area where you shouldn't have been, that was already resource deprived and had high crime, and you got attacked because you looked like a target, not because you were white. So they come up with they can't ever give you any legitimate examples. And not only that, I just talked about the systems, like legitimate, systems and institutions that black people control that actually oppress them. They can't point to it. So it's a non sequitur, right? Now, the other thing too is people will say, well, black people can be prejudiced, black people can be bigoted. Look, again, level setting the conversation. Prejudice is actually having an ideology or a belief about an organization or a group or a person without any evidence. Black people are not prejudiced. We got 400 plus years of evidence of white people harming black people. So that we're not being prejudiced when we say, look, there's evidence of a collective group of white people harming black people. We have hundreds of years of evidence of that, and that's still going on to this day. So that's not us being prejudiced. That's not us being bigoted. Like, we have literal historical evidence of that happening, not just in the past, but all the way up to just yesterday. So all of that being said, and I wanted to kind of, wrap it back to this point. One of the reasons that I believe that you have non-black people, specifically Caucasians, running around here talking about, well, black people are racist, black people are racist, y'all are being racist. At some point, they're going to try to create laws that says, well, if you say something that offends a white person, that's going to be against the law. That's coming. If they feel that you did something to offend them or harm them in some way, or they can try to tie it to and manipulate it and try to finesse it into some kind of hate crime, they're going to come up with laws to actually try to protect themselves as their numbers kind of dwindle and kind of get smaller and smaller, because that's a concern for them. But it's just when I see these conversations on live streams, there are non-black people, specifically white people, having what they believe are legitimate conversations about black people being racist. And when you challenge them on it, they can't give you anything. I said a lot, so I'll go ahead and land right there.
Appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Everybody, let's tap the screen. We got a lot of people in here. Everybody, let's tap the screen. Let's tap the screen real quick. Can't be on here too long, but yeah, let's tap the screen or whatever the case is. Let's get you. I know you've been waiting and you had a lot to say in the chat room. Let's get you, Kinder Bruno.
Yep, I'm here. Hey, thanks, Afro Elite. I really like your chat. So you always got some good commentary going on. I just wanted to post this real quick.
What is that?
So this is coming from the New York Times, and this is the new proposed 2030 census that's going to go out, and that's going to debut April 1st, 2030. It's already debuted on a couple of FAFSA forms. So the new FAFSA form, I think, is already identified this.
May we have his
So,
ethnic group, Afro?
Yeah, I think
yeah,
you're Hispanic, right? You said you were Hispanic?
yep, that's correct, and Black American, some bi ethnic. So I just wanted to talk about this specifically. Many Hispanic or Latino U.S. residents mark some other race, right? Because they do not view themselves as either black or white. So when we're talking about ethnic groups and races in the United States, I'm going to say the name of a group called MALDEF. That's the Mexican American Legal Defunct Fund, right? So for the past 40 or 40 years really, they've been lobbying for this. They've been putting some other race. They put some other race, right? So there's 65 million Hispanic Americans in the United States. 40 million alone are Mexican. This is how they have lobbied and successfully got this Hispanic or Latino as operating as its own race. So this is a new census form that's going to debut. And so when we say Latino or Hispanic is not a race, I'm going to say something, and I want people to listen very carefully. Academia and culture diverge all the time. Academia and culture diverge all the time. Academically speaking, yeah, Latino or Hispanic is not a race, 100%. But the United States government has obviously accepted the cultural practice of this particular group, coming from 22 different Latin American countries, representing the second largest ethnic group in the United States, and they needed an accurate count of these people. And for 40 years, they've been putting some other race, some other race, some other race, repeatedly.
Can you do me a favor, sir? Can you I need to see if you go up,
Yeah,
scroll up. I need to see kind of the whole form, what you actually
yeah.
see. Okay, now I want to see that. What is your race or ethnic group? Go up to race or ethnic group. I want to see the directions in the description.
What is your race and or ethnicity? Select all that apply and enter additional details in these spaces below. Remember before it had, you can mark black and then it had a separate, slot right next to it. Are you black, not Hispanic? Same thing for YT, right? They changed that. Now what's going to happen and what's already been happening. See, this is the cultural part. People culturally have been already doing this. People are going to mark Hispanic as their race and as their ethnic group. They're going to put Dominican, Puerto Rico, Salvador, Guatemala. It's going to end there. This is how they managed to completely flip our academic understanding of race in the United States. And now that they have 65 million people, the United States government has no choice but to hear and accommodate. This is my point. We have to understand this. If you do not understand this, and it happens every time as a host, I mean, you guys see it when you come up on this panel every day. You have somebody Hispanic, it doesn't matter how long they've been in the country. You ask
So
them their
where are the
race.
white tea people at?
Excuse me. Let me
I'm
finish. Let
sorry.
me finish.
Where are the
Well,
white tea people at?
brother, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I'm looking at this stuff and everything like that,
That's
this
ethnic.
is a new updated form. This is a new updated form,
Mhm.
but these things are not really deciphering racial
Right.
categories like that because let's be honest, Middle Eastern or North Africa, Middle Eastern is not a race. You know,
Yeah.
North
So
African is not a race.
so again,
Now,
culture and academia diverge all the time,
okay, now
and so the United States
I
government.
also because I think I know where you're coming from with this. I think I know where you're coming from. That Hispanic
Well,
isn't
can I
white.
finish? Can I finish?
Real quickly, and then yeah, because I want to respond to what you said.
Yeah, so again, we can wax poetic all day and say this is not a race, this is not a race. Culturally,
It's
these are
not.
how these people identify. It doesn't matter how we feel about it, it's how they feel about it. And it's how they've been identifying since their inception into the country. They've been playing both sides, obviously. But now that they have enough people to
Okay, never
lobby
mind.
effectively, this is where they're at. And so specifically, we're going to get a more accurate account because this is the thing, people already identify as this. And every time you have somebody come up on this panel, what happens when you ask a Latino their race? They fumble, they stumble. It doesn't matter how long they've been in the country. It doesn't matter the fifth generation. They fumble because again, we don't understand that Anglophone and Latino culture are his, inherently incompatible with each other. Understanding of racial classifications inherently incompatible with each other. Doesn't matter if you get the blackest Latino from Colombia, Afro Latino to the max. Their racial and cultural identity is completely different than a black Anglophone. We have a white and black dichotomy based on the history in this nation, right? It's the mixed race people in
Okay,
this nation. We're under the black umbrella.
okay,
That is completely different than their understanding. It doesn't
okay.
matter what we say, how much education they're going to.
Land real quick, brother, because I
Yeah,
want to
I'm done.
respond to
I'm
this.
done. I'll land on that. I'm done.
Okay, can you scroll up? I just want to see something one last time.
Yeah,
Okay,
and you and I'll drop the URLs in the chat.
I've seen this before. I just want to kind of have
Mhm.
a good
We've
reflection.
seen it.
But thank you. Let me say this though. Let me say this. That the new census first off is not out yet, but the new census is not really a depiction of because I think the way you're looking at it or the way you're interpreting it is it's select your race and then select your ethnicity. But these things, they're not really saying that. They're just trying to get a more accurate depiction of who's there. So it's not select your race or ethnicity. Some things they have as pretty much an ethnic group. Like for instance, African American, they have black or African American. African
Mhm.
American is not a race, you know? So they have certain regional things. They have certain, I guess, groups of people, and then you can further specify
So
within
they
that.
have Black or African American, and then they have African American as an ethnic group, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that black or African American. Another one, what was something they said, northeastern or Middle East. Middle East is not a race, a racial category. Okay, or North Africa. North African is not a racial category. So these are categories, and then they're asking for more specific specification. They're not necessarily asking for race necessarily. I don't think it's really to be interpreted that way. But even if we do say that, though, you're saying that now you guys have kind of been allowed to identify as non-white, but y'all have been able to do that the whole
But
time.
but that's
You
what I'm saying, and it's always happened. It's always happened.
let me say what I gotta say. Hispanics have been identifying as white voluntarily. They have not been forced to do that. And the thing is that every time we say that, they act. It's this thing of acting confused. They volunteered. There was organizations. LULAC was an organization that fought for Hispanics to go into the white category to be
And
classified as
what
well
year?
as white. So
What
there's
year?
been Hispanic ran organizations, not just LULAC, other ones,
No. But I
organizations
got you. What
that
year?
wanted to
What year?
hold
Throughout the
on,
1940s
that
and
wanted to
50s.
partake in whiteness. All right. So and after that, the Hispanic community, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, all of that had an option. And when they select Hispanic, they don't have to select white, but they voluntarily select white. Not because they don't have another option, but because that kind of reflects how they see themselves as a white person from a Hispanic, which only means Spanish speaking country, or Latino, a Latin American country. This is, and we can't ignore that, because the way you're framing it as if now you guys have finally had the opportunity to not identify as white, and that's just not historically the case.
So yeah, and I wanted to drive on that point. You're talking about history. I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the MALDEF. So the LULAC today is not lobbying for that, right? You're talking about, and first of all, you're talking about two specific populations. You're talking about Mexicans and Puerto Ricans. And
Okay, so you're Puerto Rican.
let me finish. Let me finish.
Oh
So
no,
the
I asked you
19,
first.
Hold on.
You're
Hold
Puerto
on,
Rican or
because
Mexican?
I
Because you
Googled,
said
because I
Hispanic. I
don't
don't
want to
think I
go
asked you
through
where you
all
were
this and
from.
confuse everybody. I'm sorry, Afro. So according to the census.gov, Hispanic origin can be viewed as the heritage, nationality, lineage, or country of birth of the person or the person's parents or ancestors before arriving in the United States. People who identify as Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish may be any race. So no, it is not a race. This is the census.gov. Okay? This is according to the census. What they're trying to do is just get a more accurate picture, like Afro said. So they're not a race, and neither is African American. They're
Yeah,
just because the black race is very diverse, right? So you have your Africans, but then Africa has 54 countries. You have to break them down. So you'll see African American, you'll see Nigerian, you'll see, what's else up there. Then you have the Caribbeans, the Jamaicans, and stuff like that. And Latinos may be a little bit similar, except they can be any race, because there's whitey Hispanics, there's mestizo Hispanics, correct? And there is Afro Latinos. Afro would be African descendants. And then you would break them down by, well, they were born in Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, stuff like that. So that is not an indication of race.
yeah,
Yeah, you guys
That's
are
their
right about that,
heritage.
host, because the bottom line is only really three: black, Asian, and white. And these cultural mixes is what people are trying to identify. I've heard people even talking about French. I got French in me, and that's a culture. I got German in me. I got Italian in me. I mean, we just, these cultural identities is because of the stigmatization that has happened to people of color over the last 600 some plus years.
so
When
so I
you
want to
look at
respond to the
even
host.
these interracial differences, one of the biggest stigmas interculturally, when you talk to a lot of my Puerto Rican brothers and sisters, is they don't want to be too shady. Because if you get too much shade on you, you're going to get stigmatized, even though you identify in the Puerto Rican culture. But at the same time, if you get too much of this shade on you, you're going to get stigmatized. So it's just something that's been going on for numbers and numbers of years, and people trying to find a way not to identify with the ethnicity of black people.
yeah.
So I
Everybody,
that
let's tap the screen. Let's tap the screen.
so I
For
preference
Hold
my
on, let's
my my
everybody tap the screen real quick. As far as the term people of color, we know that that is something that we used to be referred to as, but in today's time, the term people of color is so ambiguous, is like racially ambiguous. You have Asians calling themselves a person of color, Indians calling themselves a person of color. So to be more specific, you know what I'm saying? We just speak on the community of black people. I do know that it is true. We are technically people of color, but the door's been open for everybody. So now everybody's a person of color. So you know what I'm saying? So
I
to
understand, host. You nailed it with that one, my brother, because it has moved. The
yeah.
bar has moved. So, but I've always said that the biggest thing that we need to get away from, those are the three primary: the black, the white, and the Asian. Everything else is a mixture. And as we have culture ourselves, we try to identify with these mixture cultures and calling ourselves Middle Easterns, all these different things. But the bottom line is just those three.
Mhm.
again, so
All
I
right, so
preference
I'm gonna
what I
let you
said.
respond.
Yeah, I preference the first thing I said. What did I say? Culture and academia diverge all the time, and so specifically with this form that it's going to debut. It's already debuted in a lot of fast foods as we're speaking,
Sir, I
and it's
need
already going to
did hold on. Hold on,
It's
sir. Did you take part in rallying for that change on the census?
no, me personally, I did not.
Okay, good.
I don't
Okay.
care. I don't. I
So
mean,
black
personally, I don't care.
Americans, hold on. Black Americans actually pushed for what that looks like is disaggregation,
Yeah,
right?
I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the
Okay,
OMB.
so
I'm familiar with
that's
all of
how
it.
I can tell, and that's why I went to the census.gov just to make sure that I wasn't missing something. And I gave you the response here to my
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Is Hispanics or Latino a race? And the answer is no, they're not, because
the
they
answer is
can be
culturally
white
Yeah,
race.
practicing
hold on,
100.
Kinder, hold on for a minute, family. You didn't even do the push to help the bill, and you have a lot to say about the bill. Let BX talk, and so she can be able to give her give her a segment, and you can to respond after.
Okay. I'm
Let me help you out. Don't worry about it, brother. Go ahead, BX.
Right. So this is what I'm saying. Census.gov, where you probably got that form, right? Because that's the 2030 census, is telling us that Hispanics and Latinos are not a race. It's taken because they need their origin, it's their heritage, their nationality, their lineage, or their ancestors' heritage, lineage, or place of birth. Because people who identify as Hispanic or Latino or Spanish may be of any race. So you showing us a new form, it doesn't mean nothing. They're disaggregating the population. How many Puerto Ricans? So when Puerto Ricans come now and say, look, we are such and such percent of the population, and we demand specifically for our lineage, which derives on the Puerto Rican island there, to be repaired here for XYZ. That's what that's for. That's to disaggregate the numbers that Black American push for, because we're going for reparations. And the other Black people, the Nigerians, Jamaicans, Haitians, are not entitled. At the same time, white tea men are telling immigrants, meaning Irish, Italian, those people there, that if their family migrated here in the 1900s, they should not be able to vote. Everybody is disaggregating their numbers, even Mina, who used to be known as YT, saw there was no benefit. They want to be their own people, right? Their own ethnic group. They don't want to be seen as YT. And they push for disaggregation and to be a separate group, but not a separate race. Get it?
Hmm.
So that's not racial, that what you're
And
showing
even
us.
Thank you, BX. And even
You're
if we did
welcome.
say that Hispanics now are a race in and of itself, they're not white, they're not black, they're a race in and of itself, that does not refute the point that Hispanics historically and even in modern times have worked alongside of the racial power system to segregate and discriminate against black people. I can bring
100%.
up multiple I'm talking about politicians and
Yeah, I agree.
elected officials who've worked to literally sabotage the black community. You can't bring up no black politicians that's worked to sabotage the Hispanic community. But
I
I
agree
can
with you.
bring up ones that's worked to sabotage the black community and crimes and stuff like that against black people done by Hispanic people. So even if you want to say that Hispanic is a race in and of itself, that doesn't refute the point that they work alongside the racial powerarchy against black people. Okay.
And so I said, first thing I said, it's not what I want to say. It's what's already being said. It's what's been said for the past 35 years, right? This is why the MALDEF finally succeeded in getting this particular form and the desegregation correct and the way that
Hmm.
they've sought which they've been doing for the past 35, 40 years. That's why that's why when I asked you, say, oh, they've been pushing for YTness. I'm like, yeah, what year? I already know what year you're talking about. You're talking about the LULAC in 1930s, 1940s. So I'm saying that has changed, right? And
Hmm.
then if you want to talk about PRs, right, specifically the two censuses that you're referring to is the 1910 one, where like 80% of them identified as YT. Got it. Then you push to the 2021, right? The 2021, and I think it's like 30%, down to like 20%. Well, what happened during that time? Did YT Puerto Ricans just disappear? They didn't. They identified differently. That is my point.
Hmm.
This whole logic and this whole kind of framing this whole thing is like they just YT, and I'm saying that's a dichotomy that is outdated, and that's why there's 65 million in this country already. Somebody said there a lot of are documented. So there's 65 million legal Hispanic Americans and 7.5 million illegal, right? So that's how those numbers work
No,
out.
okay, well, let me ask you this. This would be the final question. You can give the
Yep.
final answer, and then we'll move on. And I appreciate everybody else who's liked. We're not going to be on too much longer tonight, y'all. So, y'all, I want us to get to at least about 50K. I want us to get to at least about 50K likes. So let's get the likes up real fast, family. Thank you. Let me ask you this, though. In the census, Hispanic is a category of really ethnicity, okay? Where you can check off if you're Hispanic or not Hispanic. When you check off black, they'll say black Hispanic or not, non-Hispanic, Hispanic or non-Hispanic. When you guys check off Hispanic, every single other category is optional, including the other category,
Hmm.
you know. But the thing is that what we're seeing and what the data shows us is that when they check off Hispanic, they will more than likely check off the white racial category, and
Hmm.
it's not a requirement for them to do that. So they
That
are
is correct.
voluntarily identifying as white. That's what we're saying.
That is correct. But I want that's why I said the first thing. Hey, 65 million Hispanic Americans in this country, 40 million alone are Mexican, right? So when you're talking a lot about the Latino population, you have to really be careful because you're talking about one Mexican or one Latin American country when there's 22 others, right? And those 22 others are represented here. So I get it. You want to use the majority of that population when you're speaking as a totality, and realistically, that's most likely who you're going to encounter in the United States, right? But I think you got to be careful like when you're speaking, saying, "Hey, all want to identify as YT," and now specifically, there's no need to. So we're going to see the YT-ness in this country drop significantly on the next census. Guaranteed, that's going to drop. And why is that happening? Because now this particular demographic, the second largest demographic in the United States, doesn't have to identify as YT. Doesn't have to mark that. They're going to
They
mark. They're going to
never
mark
had to. They never, but brother,
that.
they never had to. You keep
Mhm.
trying to make it seem like it's something that finally they have the option not to do it. They always had the option not to do it, and they always did it. So this is
This is
not
going
going to
to
be a change
drop.
of anything because they never
It's,
had to do that.
it's going to drop significantly because of this.
Okay.
I guarantee you. Now that there's an option and you can see that you could put Hispanic as your race, operating as a race, you could put it operating as a
Race,
race, and
they're
then you
not
could
It's
put
okay.
understanding.
your
They're not
ethnicity with
understanding.
with the
Okay.
nation that
They're
you come from.
disaggregating the white tea race too. White tea people have to pick if they have Irish roots, German roots, because race. Here, listen. Race is unconstitutional at this point in time. Why do you think affirmative action is gone, DEI is gone, and the Fairless Fund was attacked? In order to get anything passed, we have to go by lineage, right? So that's why the black race is broken down into African American, Nigerian, Jamaican, Haitian. That's why the Hispanic ethnic group is now broken down to Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, because we are all fighting for things specifically for our lineage, our heritage, where our
No,
ancestors come from, not by race, because anything by race can be attacked. And I just had a live on it. North Carolina reparations committee was just notified that some of the proposals they were making for the black race was at risk of violating the Fair Housing Act rights, the Fair Housing Rights Act, Title VI, Title VII, and the 14th, and the equity clause of the 14th Amendment. They are black people who are fighting to be repaired, right? However, because race is unconstitutional and it's a race-based policy, they have been notified that if they pass certain proposals from the 38-point proposal, they will be violated civil rights and they will be held accountable. Why? Because race is to discriminate against race means that you are in violation of civil rights laws. Get
yeah,
it?
okay. No,
Okay,
I
Yeah.
don't. I
so it's
don't get it
not
Okay,
because
but
nothing
about
you
we
said
gotta
race.
has
let some
anything to
other
do with
Race,
that.
people.
race
Hey,
is
thanks,
Thank you,
Afro.
brother.
I
I'm
appreciate you,
not
unconstitutional
man.
saying you're
I
now.
done
appreciate you.
speaking, but we do gotta let some
No, I
other
appreciate
people
you. No, thank you.
go ahead. So
Thank you,
we'll
sir.
get to two V2, and then we'll get to V2, then we'll get to 10. Let me see if I can say your name, V2, and then Tia. Tia name or something. I think is we'll get to V2 and then Tia. Tina. We'll get to V2 then Tina. V2, you can go ahead.
All right, yo. Um, so am I responding to what the guy was just talking about, or the prompt?
Well, yeah, I want to know your stance on the prompt, and you can give a response, but I just want us to stay focused on the prompt. So, what is your stance on the prompt if black people can be racist?
Uh, I mean, I thought racism was like, I thought it was like discrimination, like, and I feel like black people, we don't have enough power to discriminate against anybody. Like, I don't know. I feel like racism is different from just saying like I dislike you or I hate you. I thought racism was like a power thing. Like, I'm trying to keep you out of this job, or I'm trying to keep you out of this neighborhood, or I'm trying to keep you down. Like, it's like really oppressive. That's how I see racism. And I think black people, we don't have enough power to be racist. But I mean, if you want to be technical, I guess everybody has a little, a little hate in our hearts. But no, we're not. And I think that's part of the reason why we're in the situation that we're in now, because we've been nothing but nice to everybody. We opened the door in this country to let other people come here, and everybody stabbed us in the back. As soon as they come over here and they made some money, now it's like, oh, we're not with them no more. We want to side with the white tea people. So no, I don't deep down, no, I don't think black people can be racist. I don't think we're racist. I don't think we're hateful. We're the least hateful group of people in the world. I think everybody else is racist. I think racism comes from whiteys, Indians, Mexicans, Arabs. I've experienced racism from all these groups. So I feel like now the discussion is a lot of gaslighting, which is another thing that black people go through. They're trying to gaslight us into believe like, hey, look, you guys are racist too. Or like you'll see a video here on TikTok where, a black person's doing something and they may say a racial slur. And it's like, oh, like it's World War III now. One black person said one racial slur. Like, come on, be serious. Y'all know we're not racist. And everybody else is racist towards us.
Yep, yes, indeed. Let me say this: as far as people are saying, black people can be prejudiced. Can be and are not necessarily the same thing. Black people can be bigoted and prejudiced and all that stuff. Can be and are not the same thing. Black people, when I'm saying this, I'm specifically speaking on Black Americans. All right, Black Americans are, and history verifies this and backs this up. We are the most welcoming, by far the most forgiving group of people. We are the most give a person a second chance. We're the most understanding. We're the most sympathetic. We're the most empathetic group of people, period. This is why everybody comes over here and gets welcomed, in particular by our community, which is why they can set up businesses and those businesses get patriotized in our community. We are by far the friendliest people, period. Okay. The people who are always trying to look for the good in somebody else, always trying to forgive the next person, always trying to give somebody a second chance, always trying not to judge somebody. You know what I'm saying? We've always been that way. You know what I'm saying? Do we have some people who are not that way? Yeah, we do. But collectively, the community has always been that way. You know. So yeah, you
Yeah,
talking about us being racist? We ain't even mean. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
We don't even we don't like racism at all. We not even rude to people outside
yeah,
of our community like that. Talking about us being some racist. Come on now.
Afro. So there is a few viral videos going around, right? And in these videos, whitey people are telling their children, if you ever get lost, go find a black person. Some say a black woman, some say a black man. They're not telling them to go to these other demographics. They're telling them to come to us. And if we go through history, and I don't really want to weaponize or tokenize our biracials, but I got to say this. There's a reason why a biracial person who could be have one foundational black American parent and one white tea parent will identify as a black person, and black people will accept them. White tea people don't necessarily, outside of the family, as a collective, accept a biracial as white tea. We are
Yep.
so accepting to the detriment of ourselves, because now we're up here fighting for our lives, for our culture, and some respect on our name, because everybody thinks because they participating in some things or been in proximity to us that they can impede and impose and speak on and pick over our culture. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're so accepting.
Yep, that's true.
Because you know I could go. Let me just go
Yep,
on mute. But that's what I want to say, y'all.
that's true. And it is becoming a point where now it's becoming exploitation. Okay, now people have been exploiting that, our big hearts and our warm hearts. So yeah, that's very true. Let's get to Tina. You got it.
Okay, hi. My name is Tiana, by the way. Like
Tiana, my fault.
you're
Tiana.
good. Um,
I don't know why I
I
keep saying Tina. Tiana.
you're good. You're good. I do not believe that Black people can be racist. I also agree with what was said earlier about us not being prejudiced either, because we have 400 years of proof as to why we distrust, the white race. I just wanted to touch on a little bit of what was said earlier. So about whatever Kinder Bueno was talking about, I just wanted to add this. So WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, have historically been the like they held significant power and cultural influence in the U.S. So, and we've also seen how historically white people basically have been able to change and classify different groups of people as white. So, looking strictly at that form or whatever that he had pulled up, we really can't go based off of strictly that, as other people were saying that that's not defined as a race. And even if they were able to classify themselves as white or whatever in the past, that's specifically because white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, it was the significant cultural influence in the U.S. As more and more Latino and Hispanic people had started coming over, who very obviously have different cultural identities. It started to basically shape and reform basically the general cultural identity of America, which is why they're now trying to separate them and be like, yeah, classify as this, classify as that. They don't really want them to classify as white anymore, because they realized while they were so busy trying to focus on holding Black Americans down, that they basically let a bunch of other people slip through and start switching up their cultural identity in their own country. So obviously, white people are going to, as we've seen throughout history, change who gets to identify as white and when. And then what I wanted to say about earlier with the guy Blasey, I think his name was, from the Sudanese guy. I wanted to add perspective because it was interesting that he did believe that Black people could be racist. And I want to, I don't know, just add this. Maybe specifically for him because he's from Africa. In their country, they hold, I guess, a position of power in their individual countries. They are the face of government and police officers, teachers. It'll be everywhere. That's possibly why he believes that Black people could be racist. But over here, as we know, race is a system. We don't have any power to enact any type of prejudice or anything. So I feel like that's probably why someone who would be like an immigrant from Africa would probably believe that Black people could be racist, although that is something for them to think about, that like in their countries, they see themselves represented everywhere. But over here in America, we do not. And so therefore, we cannot systematically be racist. And I think that was it that I just wanted to say. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And then to piggyback off of what you said about Blasey, I think his name is, or Brazy or something, forgot his name. He said that he was born and raised in Africa, and then he moved to America. It's not like he was born from African parents in America. So he moved there. So his perception is, okay, everybody in his country are the same race for the most part. In African countries, you do have some Black people who live there, but they're pretty much like 98% one race of people. So your perception of racism is pretty much people being impolite or rude or even discriminatory to another group of people. Okay. That's not really what racism really is. So you're using a flawed perspective, and you're seeing prejudice, and you're tying that and saying, well, prejudice is just being, anybody can be prejudiced, and then put race on top of it. So it's just racism. No, it's not, because racism is systemic. Okay, racism has a power behind it, a system power behind it. You know, so us individualizing it and us being rude is just not, that's just not what it is. Okay, and it's good that we get to clear this up. All right. I appreciate you guys for all of the likes. Can we get to 50K? We're almost there. We're almost there at 50K. All right. My
Afro,
brother, huh?
I'm sorry. Remember when white tea people was telling us that there is no such thing as racism? Then they started saying, well, it's reverse racism. Like what the other groups are doing is feeding into white tea talking points that black people could be racist because white tea people were getting their feelings hurt just because we were now allowed to talk back to them. At one time, we couldn't really tell them the real truth, right? Because our ancestors would have been harmed. So I believe all of this stems from white tea people and hurt feelings. Because basically what they're calling racism is us telling them boldly the truth, and we might call them a name or two. So they're hurt over being called a name or being told the truth. So they, in turn, feel they want to be victimized, right? So they started saying reverse racism. Where is it? Because you told us racism doesn't exist. Now it's reverse racism. Like, y'all got to really think and go over history and stuff. And a lot of the things that y'all are saying are upholding white tea people who are saying they can face racism, but they created the system. So they cannot create the system if they are the problem. I mean, they
Yeah.
cannot. You know what I'm saying? Goodness
Yeah, you
gracious.
can't. I know
I
exactly
know
what you're
what I'm
saying. You
trying to
They
can't
can't be
be
articulate.
victims in the
Yeah.
system. They
you
actually
can't be the
create it.
oppressor and the victimized. You can't
Thank
do that.
you.
So
Yeah.
they've been and are the oppressor, and now they want to claim to be the victim of the actual victims. They want to claim to be the victim. And when we have people who come up here and be all like, "Well, anybody can be racist. I think racism, anybody can be racist." That enables them, okay, and that verifies the false information that they're trying to claim to be victims. Okay, that enables them, and that gives them more fuel to the fire of them who are the oppressors and are of the oppressor class to now label themselves as victims.
Yeah, that's a good narrative you just added there, host, because that's why I say that when you look at the nefarious behavior they got constitutionalized, that is the
Hmm.
step by step in which they did it. They constitutionalized, and then they created what I call an organizational behavior through judicial, legislative, and executive branches, what they use still today. That's the organizational behavior that has done everything nefarious and disproportionately favored them and disproportionately harmed us in this country that we've been pushing back against. And as the young lady say, because of that pushback, now they call in reverse. But the system still exists. Just because we're calling it out doesn't mean the system does not exist. And that's the same system we have to fight through every single day to try to get this equal playing field, even though the deck has already been stacked.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, indeed. Thank you. All right, we got our brother
There's one
Fallon.
last question. I'm sorry, Afro. There's a comment that black people can change it, right? So now I got to say this. Black people have changed the system, but we cannot eradicate what we did not build. That is white people's job. And when y'all come to tell us that we need to, or how can we fix the racist systems and stuff, y'all are gaslighting and diminishing everything that we went through. How could the victim fix the problem? All we could do is change our situation, which we have through civil rights. But as you see, the people who created the system are still upholding it. Their descendants are still upholding it, and still it's
Hmm.
up to them to eradicate what their ancestors built. We
Yeah,
can't
they
do that.
yes, their ancestors created a social and economic, very important social and economic and power and legislative system, and they gave that to their descendants. Their descendants inherited that from their ancestors. So they don't have to really practice it as strong and as openly as their ancestors did. So what they do now is they defend it because that's the status quo. So they want to defend the status quo because they don't want that to change. What is in our best interest is to empower our community so that way that their advantages that they've given to themselves don't hinder us. Okay, We're not. We've tried to convince them to dismantle it. We've tried to convince them to let it go. They won't. It is what it is at this point. So what's in our best interest is to empower our community. So even if they want to, they don't have the ability to. We have to strip them from the ability to practice racism against us. As far as racism is concerned, it's not, like you said, our thing. We didn't make it. They made it, and they're defending it, so they don't want it to go.
Yeah,
So
and
one
they
of
characterize it by suggestive. They characterize it as being pioneer, being patriot, being
Mm-hmm.
discoverers. As a result of that, it kind of soften the idealism in their mind and their psychosis that it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that's why I've always asked people, what is the difference between a thief and an archaeologist? Just the way you if you will, your description of something. There is
Mm-hmm.
nothing in America that can be discovered today under the same premise, and we wouldn't call it stealing. There's
Yes.
nothing in America today that the genocidal behavior that took place from the East Coast to the West Coast could happen today, and we would not call it genocide. We would not call it discovery. We would not call it pioneer. We would not call that patriotism. And we
Mm-hmm.
definitely, if we constitutionalize it and institutionalize it with a judicial, legislative, and executive branch to ensure that its inception went on perpetually, then we definitely wouldn't sit there and say it was fair if it was something done today.
Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. I appreciate that. Let's get to my brother Foundational. And we finally got to 50K likes. Thank you, guys. Foundational, you got it, brother.
Peace, family. How you doing? Hope all is well. Thank you so much for this platform and for this topic. I see you have a lot of tears in the comments, people crying in the comments. I love every single moment of it because when the facts and the truth come out, people don't like it and they call it being victim. Because whenever they don't like to hear something, they like to throw boogeyman names on it, right? And so what that is a bunch of people that had a head start, 28-year head start, and now what they're seeing is one out of every 20 Black Americans is multimillionaires, although they had that head start. And that's why I don't like the term "we don't have power" or "no power." We are actually starting to have a lot of power. We're putting ourselves in positions of power. We start to become the judges, the cops, the lawyers, the attorneys, and putting ourselves in position. This is why there was such a push for President Trump to the point where even the Amish came out the bushes, even the Norwegians came out the bushes to go vote for Trump because they saw the shift in power, right? And so the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying is, even if you look at the gentleman that was running for Senate, I think Senator, I think in Florida, Lang, the J6 gentleman, he was
Mm-hmm.
crying on the podcast. He was crying on the podcast on how much power we do have and how we were in courts and in systems, and that was keeping them in jail and stuff like that. So we actually do have power, right? We actually do have the power to be. The problem is we're not like them, and they are afraid that we are going to do to them what they did to us, right? And that's really what it comes down to, right? So the thing is, can we be racist? It could be a possibility, but no, we would not do that because again, that's not the type of people we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what's going on is there's a lot of people that's up and afraid right now that we are going to do these things because again they had a 200-year head start and they 47% in on government assistance. It's just so much wrong and bad that's going on, and the fact that we catching up, that's what they're afraid of. And that's what it is. We're not going to be racist. That's not what we do. That's not our livelihood. That's not the type of energy that we have, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when it come down to it, yeah, nah, I don't think we don't do stuff like that. And another thing, I just want to comment on something. Just because somebody addressed something, that doesn't mean they're playing victim. That's another like gaslighting term again. People can address things and talk on things without people getting in their feelings. And I land on that, brother.
Yeah, that's very true.
Made a good
That's
point.
very true. That they've used the word victim so much so people can pretty much feel it's gaslight, so they can feel ashamed to speak out on
The
being
issue.
wronged.
Yes.
That's what it is. When people are being
Yeah.
wronged and they don't want you to speak out, they'll say it's a victim thing. So now You gotta. They make it seem like you're sacrificing some pride or dignity by speaking out on some wrongdoing towards you.
Ain't no doubt about it, because the history in the entire world shows of all the countries that are occupied by people, and I won't use the term color anymore based on what my host told me earlier, but the people that was what we call African. We have never went and conquered other countries. We have never went and genocide other countries. It has not been our historical footprint. To the contrary,
Mhm.
we've been welcoming. We've been open doors. We've been functioning as a spiritual people. It doesn't change the constitutionalization that was put in place after nefarious behavior that we still use to the day, that we have to use to try to come out of this rabbit hole that not a rabbit hole, but this trap they put us in.
So one of the things you got people in the comments. So I guess you do have a few haters. But here's the thing. So when people talk about present day racism, one of the ways they actually try to justify and uphold and maintain racism is they go, well, it's not as bad as it was 50 years ago. It's not as bad as it was during slavery. It's not as bad as it was. Like, they try to make comparisons to the past to try to, basically, you guys should have just accept whatever racism you get today because, under Jim Crow, it's worse. Under slavery, it was worse. Like, no, you got to get rid of all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very common thing that's said. My mother born in the 20s, they said it wasn't as bad as my grandmother who was born in the 1800s. They say the people born in the 20s, it wasn't as bad in the 40s. They say the people born in the 40s, it wasn't as bad in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And then now in the 80s, and then on and on and on. It's a gaslight. In
Yeah,
other
that's the
words,
Yes.
as
justification to
long as we
actually
willing to
continue
live
doing
under
it.
better, as long as we willing to live under better, I don't understand what you guys are complaining about, because better is not equality. And to recognize, and the way you keep that equality from happening is you stack the deck. I don't care if you're just talking about something as basic as a federal contract. You've already gotten all the industries, you control them all. So if I wanted to get into the industry and I have to
Mhm.
have a footprint of performance, how can I have it if I can't even get started?
Yes.
Lead Empress there, her screen looks black to me. Um,
Who?
where we
And I
tried
don't
to
have I
drop
don't
her?
have too much. I'm not gonna be
Here,
on too much
BX.
Oh,
longer.
you're
Yes, I'm
here?
still
Okay.
here. I'm still here, BX.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
it wasn't
Uh huh.
black to me. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
Let's get
probably
to
my.
Char Bar, and then let's get to FBA Detroit, and then I guess we can give like the final words of the subject and wrap things up. This was a good
No
live.
problem. Yeah, I think it requires a little more time.
Yeah. I definitely want to do a
Yeah.
part two on this because I know, yeah. But
I appreciate you after
Char Bar,
all
you
the
got it.
time, man. That's why I came back.
I just
Appreciate
wanted to
that.
tell the panel thank you for everything you said. I've been having this conversation. Well, I've had this conversation with my kids and my daddy because he's married to a white T woman, and I have, I speak my piece, and I ended it with like, I'm not racist, I'm racial. I just identify characteristics within different races. You know what I mean? I watch. So I just want to thank you guys for just confirming that in me. I don't think there's nothing racist about any black person I've met. I actually used to tell my son when he was younger, like, I feel sorry for white T people because when I was a CNA and I did home care, you can go inside these people's houses and talk to them and meet them and stuff. And you hear their stories about how they grew up. And it's like, dang, like y'all really are being raised by people that's came from this. And so, you know what I mean? It's like we got balance, if anything. We see the good, we see the bad, we see it because we're around all of it. And as I'm
Mhm.
getting into these Africans, and I've been in the Caribbeans too, it's as I'm being introduced to them, that's what I had to ask myself. Like, can black people be racist against black people? Because I'm feeling kind of racist. But
You're right, sister. It was a culture behavior. It's a culture behavior, and many of them don't want to self-identify. But the deck has already been stacked, and that's what we're talking about now.
Mhm.
Because of that culture behavior, it gave such a disproportionate advantage, and it disproportionately, even now, nefariously harm and hurt because the system still exists. Even if you
Mhm.
just look at the
But
judicial system,
but yeah, we're gonna you get you.
that's what it is.
yeah,
Hold
but
on, I don't know if she was. Were you finished?
yeah, well, yeah, I can land it there. I just wanted to just thank the panel for just being black and just, yeah, y'all helping everyone. Y'all helping here, all of us.
Hmm.
All right, y'all have a good night.
You too. Thank you. And here's the thing: when it comes to even judging other groups of people or making assumptions about other groups of people always do that. People have always done that, and a lot of the stereotypes, because a lot of it is kind of like stereotypical. But the thing is, even when black people do that, quote unquote, if for lack of a better term, there's no malice behind it. So if a black person assumes, like, well, I assume if you're Mexican, you probably grew up eating Mexican food. You probably grew up eating tacos. You probably grew up eating Mexican stuff. That's not racist. I mean, that is an assumption. You can say it's a stereotype. More than likely it is actually true, but you understand that there's no malice behind it. When people stereotype black people, there's a malice behind it, and there's an intention to denigrate a community. There's an intention to characterize and make a caricature and dehumanize the black community. All right. So even when you can say what we do when they do it, we still don't do it the way they do it. You know what I'm saying? Because we do that to everybody, even ourselves. You know what I'm saying? When they do it, it's a way to kind of make it seem like we're other, like subhuman-ish people. That's why they was doing the stuff with the Jim Crow, with the watermelon and the fried chicken and all of that stuff.
See what that is, brother. What that is it's like a chihuahua back that to the wall, right? What they do, they start barking and biting at everything and everybody, right? And that's what they start crying about everything. And that's what's going on. They start resorting and reducing themselves to insults and racist remarks and attacking because what's happening is they see the power and the rising of the power, right? If you look at what happened with Carmelo Anthony, it was a melanated woman that gave him that bail, right? And what did they do? They started following her to her house, linking out her address, little childish stuff like that because they understand that we are in positions now, right? And that's again, that is the fear. But the difference is we don't burn, we don't have a history of burning down towns, right? We don't have a history of unaliving people, right? We don't have
Hmm.
a history of doing anything. Now, if you want to talk about the 2% of our community that's in gangs, that's doing degenerate things, fine. That's a W if you want to take that as a W. But outside of that, in mass, as a collective, as a people, we're not going around doing these degenerate things, right? And so what's happening is projection and fear. Again, that's why I'm gonna take it back to what I said earlier. This is why the Amish, who've been isolated, who barely even have electricity in their house, barely have modern things in their house, they came out the bushes to go vote for Trump, and the Norwegians came out the bushes to go vote for Trump because they see the shift in power, they see the shift in energy, and then that's what they're afraid. So the one thing they did was dilute the word racism to fit their fluffy feelings and make it apply to them
No,
because we
you're
understand
muffled. You're muffled.
in place, right? That
Not like
systematic
he walked away Marshall, from you're muffled. You're muffled.
war.
Marshall, you have to move your hand away from the speaker. You
I don't
sound
know if
kind of
you're on
muffled.
Bluetooth or something. You're muffled.
We're gonna start seeing more of this. If we know history and anybody that study history, as we continue to get in power, it's gonna continue to get real degenerate. But again, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna let y'all just be at the due diligence on history. All I'm gonna say is just train up. That's it. Love y'all.
Much love, brother. Thank you.
Well, I heard
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah, it maybe it's Bluetooth or the reception might be bad, or who knows exactly. All right, let's get to FBA Detroit.
What up, though, Afro?
What up, Doe?
Also, I was reading the backdrop and I see the question is, can black people be racist? I'm gonna say no because I mean, you said black people, so I'm just not talking about just FBAs, but I have not witnessed black people be racist. And as far as FBAs go, I don't feel like we've ever been in a position to be racist. Like we're not in a position to pass bias laws. We're not in a position to discriminate on jobs and educational opportunities, and we're not really in position to be biased in courtrooms. Like I haven't witnessed anybody being over sentenced in courtrooms. I have not witnessed any racism from black people for me to say that black people can be racist. And a lot of people get us being precautious confused with us being racist. Like, oh, you're being racist. No, I'm just being precautious because history shows that your kind have been known to be backbiters. Like you cannot blame a black person for being precautious when it's been shown throughout the whole history of time that that we've been crossed out by everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about not just black foundational black America. I'm talking about black people all over the face of the earth have been crossed out in every nation. And I want to say this: the black people that are in the nations that are in positions to pass bias laws and be racist, I think they should be. I think in Africa, their problem is they are scared to be racist. I think in Jamaica, their problem is they are scared to be racist because these people have clearly shown us that they do not care for black people. It's clear to understand that. So anytime somebody will want to come live in a country where all black people are, we know that they're only there because they see the money behind it. Because it shows that no one cares about black people. No one is out here fighting for black people to be compensated for what we've been through. On no nation of black people on the face of this earth, from over here in the Western Hemisphere to over there across seas. I'm talking about in Britain, Africa. It don't matter. You go to any continent, any nation of black people on the face of this earth, and nobody has been compensated. But if you look at any white T race, from the Jews on down, even the Japanese, they have been compensated for being done wrong. But no black nation of people have been compensated. So I feel like, why would the Africans who are now coming up out of their oppression or out of their colonization and starting to see some daylight, why will you continue to allow these Arabs and the Chinaman to continue to come in and invest and open up businesses in your country and basically get put their foot down on top of the neck of the economy before it even starts to blossom? Like, I feel like they need to be racist. That's the problem. You cannot walk a straight line when everybody else is zigzagging everywhere. So I just feel like the people that are the black people that are in position to be racist, they need to be racist because the United States don't care about being racist. Donald Trump don't have no problem with saying, hey, there's too many Hispanics coming over here. Deport them. I don't care how you do it. ICE, get them from school with their kids, get them from work, church, funerals, get them and take them and send them back. I don't even care if you send them to their rightful country where they came from. Send them back, put them in alligator Alcatraz. He has no problem with doing that. And then sending some airplanes over there and giving the Americanas in South Africa first class plane tickets. Oh, he got room for them. He's sending for them. They gonna skip to the top of the list, forget everybody who going through the steps and all these hard steps trying to get over here the right way. He gonna skip to the top of the list and send for these white South Africans to come over here as soon as he send the Mexicans back. So, America don't have no problem with being racist. And I just feel like the people that's in position to be racist, they need to start being racist.
I heard a dog bark.
Yeah, that's that organizational behavior you're talking about. It's not just domestic, it's also foreign. And we use what thing called a high-tech billy club to make sure it works. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine. Many of the other nations, even if they wanted to, that's why you constantly hear them say who can own things, who can have weaponry and those kind of things. We've seen the historical footprint that gave the disproportionate out in this country, even when you do things such as inventions. Rather than allow you to have your invention, I can create a organizational behavior called patent, where I can steal your idea and legalize stealing your idea and then take your resources for years to come and pass that on to my generation. And now when you see other nations that say we're not recognizing your patent, you want to say they're stealing from you. But it's this hypocrisy that we live up under. That's the thing we're trying to fix. That's why Obama was such a threat, because he got to the top of the food chain. When you get to the top of the food chain of an organization such as this, and he got the legislation and he got the judicial underneath him, he could have changed laws that could have made these things a little bit more parable, made it a little bit more fair. And that scared the crap out of him. That's what generated what you call the Tea Party that has now formulated itself into MAGA.
Hey, and he tried. I was in federal prison when Obama first came in 2008. He tried to get the crack and cocaine versus
You
powder
can't
cocaine.
say those. You can't say
Yeah.
those. And we're in the. I see two new people join the panel. I didn't bring them up.
Oh,
But
okay.
Afro Elite, it's short for time, y'all.
Yeah, so
This
we're
is
gonna be
something
real
that
quick.
we're
Let's
gonna
get to
have
the
to
two
put.
new people. Let's get to two new
Yeah,
All
a
people.
right, then I'm
pin, a
gone, y'all.
pin in.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, bro.
Stay up, FBA.
All
you
right,
Oh,
too.
they
y'all
left.
Stay
too.
up.
Okay.
Oh, they
Okay.
dropped. The new people dropped.
Oh
Oh no,
man,
that was
I
me. I
wanted to hear what
dropped
they
them.
had to
My bad.
say.
I
Oh, you
dropped them.
dropped them. Okay,
Oh,
Oh yeah, cause I broke
yeah,
final
my
well,
words,
bad.
Afro.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it's all right. If
Oh,
y'all
okay,
just
my
follow,
bad.
because we'll do a part two on this subject. I know a lot of people got a lot of to say on this subject. You know what I'm saying? So we'll do a part two on this. But this was only supposed to be a quick live. I've kind of pushed it, but I want to get off before 7. So, some other stuff I have to take care of.
You must
So
be
I
on
want.
Central Time, brother. We at 8 over here on Eastern Coast. You must be
Oh, no, I'm in Chicago. So
oh, that's Chicago Central, right?
yeah, Chicago Central. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, it's 8 o'clock over there. Well, I hope y'all having a good weekend. Hope y'all having a fun weekend out there. But we will be doing a part two to this. If you guys want to listen to the playback, y'all can go to the For the Culture on YouTube. Subscribe to For the Culture on YouTube. That's where we'll be having a playback. So if you guys caught the middle, if you guys want to listen again, it's been a lot of good information with this live. You all want to listen again, go ahead. Follow me, Afro Elite. Just follow me, and then you can follow my YouTube and all of my social media, and the link is in the description. All right.
I appreciate you, my young brother, and thank you guys for always allowing me to participate. And I'll come back any chance I see you around.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
You guys take care of yourself and stay up.
All
All
right, be
right. You
safe,
too,
brother.
brother.
Oh,
All right.
truthfully.
Yeah. We got to wrap things up here. We've been good. It's kind of quick, maybe like hour and a half, maybe. So BX, can you close us out, please?
Sure. So I gotta ask you, when is the next time you're coming back live on TikTok?
Mm, I want to tomorrow. If not tomorrow, Tuesday for sure.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna say this. This was a really good live. This topic can be triggering to some. And I didn't get triggered today, right? What I am is I'm tired of being tone police as a black woman, and I don't see other demographics who may use the same level, treble and bass in their voice as I, not get tone police. I watched a video of a black woman jump out her car because a Latina woman, left her baby outside a store and went in the store. And the video creator who was saying, look what's going on here in this section of New York. Look what happened. Now, the woman, her tone could have been a little nicer because she said, are you crazy? Why would you leave the baby out there? That's not anger. That's not being loud. That's being passionate because we know the dangers of leaving your child outside in a stroller and the child can't speak. And while you in the store, right? So I get a little passionate because I've been on these apps since Facebook, primarily debating with white tea men of all people, and I don't understand how everybody else is not getting this. Black Americans lack the power collectively to be racist, right? And I think people need to learn proper vocabulary such as bigotry, prejudice, anti-black hatred, bias, stuff like that. And I think it's gaslighting and re-victimizing a group of people when you come to them and say it's up to you to change the circumstances. Meanwhile, y'all are being very anti-black to us if you're not racist, right? If you lack a certain power, you can't be anti-black American. So what we're finding is that we've extended ourselves to everybody only to be called racist when we say we have to work on ourselves, only to be called racist when we call them out on their BS. Nobody, and I'm going to stand on this 10 toes down, has built or done or sacrificed as much for America as black Americans have. And that includes starting with our ancestors. right? And so we've built, we're not the predominant people here. We have people from predominantly black nations who outnumber their colonizers coming here. We have Latinos, we have Asians, we have white tea people, and everybody comes and expect black Americans to just roll over. And then they come here with their anti-black hatred. So as a black American, and I go into another store that's not my ethnic group, I'm faced with microaggressions that other people aren't faced with. But I'll be racist when I say, what's your problem? Why are you acting like that towards me? I got the money in my hand. So I'm just tired. We cannot break the system of oppression, right? It's up to white tea people to do that. The white tea people, when we speak against what the Afro-descendant immigrants are doing to us, they say, well, go to the white tea people. We could if you get out of our way. They created the systems, and these people are used as pawns, but you know what? They play into it because they turn around and lock us out. Notice everybody that's not black American that speaks against us getting reparations has never spoken negatively against CARICOM. We're trying to get the Caribbean reparations. White tea people, their immigrant class, the Irish who migrated here and benefited the most, got free handouts and all of that, them and the Italians, right? Are the loudest ones saying we don't deserve reparations. Meanwhile, the Anglos and some Mayflower descendants are trying to help us find our ancestors in certain genealogy groups. So I think that before y'all come at us about us being racist, take a class, learn what racism is and how black people cannot be racist. But other things we can be, right? And y'all need to put things in a proper perspective and stop calling people a victim if they're still being victimized. Because last time I checked, I still have bodies in the South hanging, right? And I still have bodies in the North being harmed or unalived by correction officers. We still have laws on the books from slavery votes in New York, of all places, right? That's why we can't congregate in large numbers. But I can look at Brooklyn, the most gentrified borough, and the Caribbeans out there with their flags. We are treated differently in the land that we built, and nobody understands why I'm passionate about changing things. Stop helping our oppressor, and maybe I'll be nice to you tomorrow or something. But today, stop playing with us. I land Afro.
All right, she was going in. All right, okay. All right, and then she just landed so gracefully. She just going on, and I land. Okay, you gotta love BX. You just gotta love her, don't you? All right, y'all. All right. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to For the Culture on YouTube. That way you can listen to the playback of this. We will be having a part 2 soon. Not sure exactly when, either tomorrow or the day after. So y'all make sure y'all follow so y'all don't miss out on that. All right. That being said, y'all have a good night.
All right, man.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Peace.
Good night, guys.
Good night.